Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy Casket King here, back at it again with another motherfucking video, and I'm here with the historian.
Yo, what up, everybody? How is it going? I'm here with Casket King zero
Whoop
zero.
whoop.
And Casket, what is the topic of tonight's video?
We're talking about 100 chicken wings.
100 chicken wings. That's the title of the video. But I want to ask you, Casket, what was the biggest single order you ever got when you were working at the Big Top Flea Market restaurant?
Okay, I remember this order because it took like half an hour to get out.
Before we even get into that, what is the name of the restaurant that you worked
It
at in the
didn't
Big
really
Top?
have a name. It was just part of the Big Top.
How did you come to apply for this restaurant?
I was applying for everything because I was desperate for a job.
You were applying for everything, but it's like, how did you find the Big Top Flea Market restaurant? Had you gone there
Yeah, I
before?
used to go to the Big Top all the time.
What would you get there?
I didn't necessarily go to the restaurant. I went to the Big Top for the flea market.
You went to the Big Top for
Maybe
the
every
flea
once in a while I'd get
market.
a burger or something or a drink.
So they had like what could you get? What was the menu at the Big Top?
We had burgers, we had hot dogs, we had chicken wings, we had Phillies, we had breakfast at early morning. I mean, we had all sorts of shit. We had
What if I
pizza, we
say
had elephant
you,
ears, we had
you
foot
had a
long hot
lot?
dogs.
What if I say I've never been before? I want. What do you recommend?
I recommend the fucking Philly, and I'd at least try a foot long hot dog. They're pretty good.
What do you say? No, never get this. It's not worth it. Don't do that.
Uh, I don't know. Everything we sold wasn't so bad. Like it was all right food.
Did you ever have a coworker where you were like, I effing hate that coworker?
Oh God, yes.
Who? Who was this coworker?
I can't remember her fucking name. It was some ditzy name, but she was like this chick, and she thought she was paid to stand around and just look good. I'm like, no, honey, you're here to work. I need help with these trays. I need somebody to make hot dogs, or I need to go make hot dogs. Somebody's got to tend to the trays while I make hot dogs. Somebody's got to do something while I'm doing the other thing.
What would she do? And was she hired after you?
Yeah, she was hired after me.
What would she do when she came on? It's like, what
She
was
would
her
just like she
attitude
would take
like?
smoke breaks all the time, and like having smoke breaks not bad, but when you're taking like 8 of them and your shift is only 6 hours long,
Yeah, it is crazy. Did she
like
last
she would
longer
just
than
stand
you?
there and like go through her phone.
She sounds like a crap employee. Did she last as long as
Not
you?
very long, no.
So she was hired after you and she left before you left.
Yeah,
Man, that sounds like a bad because you were not there. I guess actually you were there for like 2 years.
at least 2 years.
Man, you were there for in terms of a casket king job, that 2 years is a long time. But how long? How long do you think you'd been on the job when she comes in? And
And
how
I was
long do you
there
think
for at
she was
least
there?
3 Christmas parties.
That's like that must have been like the end of the job then if you're only there for 2 years and three Christmas parties. That's a long time for her. When she comes, you had been there for three Christmas parties.
No, I had only been there for like 6 months, maybe a year.
What were the Christmas parties like?
Well, the flea market would stay open after hours for the people running the booths, and we'd have this like big like buffet of food set out for them.
Was Freddie there?
Yeah, he'd be there.
What was it like? I mean, describe it for the viewers. What was it like to be at the Big Top Flea Market Christmas booth employee
All
Christmas
right, well, we
party?
probably had like a 40 to 50-foot table, and it was covered in food. We would all prepare it. Like, we would close early that day in the restaurant and just start cooking food for the party.
So you make chicken wings, hot dogs, pizza,
Well, we'd also
burgers.
have like macaroni and this and that, and just like party stuff.
Describe one of the parties. What is it like?
There'd probably be like 30 booth guys there. I would know like half of them. Because before work every day, I would walk around the flea market and get to know people. So I knew everybody who had a booth there, pretty much.
Are they? What are the other people like? Do you like them? Do you dislike
I mean, most people are
anybody?
alright, yeah.
Is Freddie your favorite?
I mean, he's up there. I wouldn't say he's my favorite.
What was Freddie like? And obviously, maybe someone's saying, I don't know who Freddie is. There's the video. And I think Krusty even posted it on the channel and said that it was his favorite video. And it's you at the Big Top after you lost your job and you go back to the Big Top and you see Freddie again. What kind of stand did Freddie own?
He sold like tools, home appliance, fixer-uppers,
So
like knickknacks.
Freddie's this other guy who owns a stand. How did you get to know Freddie? What was your relationship with Freddie like?
I would sit outside his booth and we'd just hang out.
I've heard this about multiple people, but like, how did you get to know Freddie? Like your first day, obviously you don't really care about tools. How do you get to? How do you create this friendship with somebody who has a booth that you don't really care about with tools and stuff?
I don't know. We just, you know what? I think I do remember.
Tell me this whole story. Don't
Well,
give any details.
we used to talk here and there, and then one day he came at me with a crucifix.
Well, tell me about this story.
Well, he came at me with a crucifix. What can I say?
What does that mean? I mean, describe that. What does it mean to say Freddie came at me with a crucifix?
I mean, I was standing there minding my own business, and then all of a sudden he's coming at me with a crucifix.
Is he pointing it at you like it's a knife?
No, he's pointing at me like he's trying to ward me off.
Oh, and what does he say?
I don't think he said anything.
What do you do in response
I
to
fucking
this?
run.
Okay, so now you've said, you know what? Freddie's this fun-loving guy, and I've shown that I'm a fun-loving guy too, and I can have some fun in my life. He does this funny thing, which, I mean, very ironically, now you're a Luciferian, and he comes at you with a crucifix, and you run away. It's funny that he would just say, you know, of all people, I'm going to choose casket. What is it like? I mean, when you get hired at the flea market, the first day or the first week or whatever, what is it like?
I remember my first day.
What was the first day like?
I barely made it through my first day. Luckily, I started work on a Sunday.
You do. You talk about this in work. And I don't want to reiterate this because if anyone's interested, go back and look at work. But yes, I remember that story and I remember you talking about this. But I'm really interested in is what was your association with the Big Top on your first day of work? How well did you know people?
I knew like one or two people. That was it. Mm-hmm.
How? I mean, how long have you been going to the Big Top before you worked there?
Years.
When do you think was the very first time?
I want to say 97, 98.
97? It was that long ago?
First time, yeah.
That's even hard to believe that you were in Florida. I mean, where are you living at 97? I mean, I didn't even know it was that early. That makes me wonder, like, where are you living and what's the future of that? But where are you living in
I was living in
97?
Tarpon.
Okay, explain the house because maybe I'll know it.
I was living in in the big house at the time.
You're living in the big house the first time you go there?
Yeah.
Had your dad ever gone to the big top?
I don't know.
But he had never taken you? Or you just don't remember?
I don't know if he'd ever been or not.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't know you were there that early.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you work there. What do you think the years are that you worked there? You worked there for like 2 years. Was it like 2000?
It was
It was after.
2008, 2009, and some 2010.
Was it after your dad had died?
Yeah. I got a
Like
job
right?
probably like
Okay.
2 or 3 months after
Yeah,
he died.
that's true. I remember that you said you moved in with your grandma, and she said you have to get a job. Were you resentful? Did you say
Well, she didn't say I had to
what?
get a job. My mom was like, "Hey, we need to get jobs so we can get the fuck out of here or something."
Oh, it was like we need to get a job so we can get away from her.
Basically,
What was it like at that time after your dad died and before you had to get a job? What was it like living with her? Was it just
it
like
fucking sucked.
torture?
It fucking sucked. It's like being somebody's work monkey. Like, fuck, dude.
What would you do if you can explain it all? I mean, I remember in one of
I would
your
have to
videos
crush
you
soda cans. I would have to do a shit ton of yard work. I would have to rearrange furniture. Like, I would have to be at her beck and call and whim.
I remember that you talked about furniture. I've never heard of this other stuff, but you just said that in a very abbreviated manner and I say this is very interesting. What was it like? I mean, yes. One thing I've always wondered about, and I remember Nick at Space, who's one of my friends in the chat and who's in the Discord, he's always brought, or he's, you know, thought about this moment because it's almost a famous moment when you're with your grandma and she says, "Oh, you have to do yard work," and you really didn't like that. But it's like, how much work is she? I've never heard you having to crush cans before. And I want to hear the story. Yes, you said, "Oh, I have to crush cans." I want to hear the full story. What is
She
it
would
like?
recycle her cans, and I would have to go out and crush them.
Can you explain this in like a ridiculous amount of detail in terms of
She would give me a trash bag full of soda cans. I would have to go out to the fucking driveway and step on them and crush them and pick them back up and put them back in the bag.
So what? She says, "Ben, you're gonna go crush these cans." I mean, how does that work? What does she say? Is there like this adversarial
It's either
relationship
you
where
do it
she's
or you
like
get kicked
angry?
out. That's what it is.
Yeah, but see, I don't understand how this started. And it's like, when you moved into your grandma, was this the first time you'd ever lived with your grandma?
No.
So you knew, oh, I know exactly how my grandma
Yes.
is. And she
I'm like,
says,
she'd already kicked me out once before. Like, I knew it was gonna happen again.
I mean, this is so complicated where obviously we have this focus of this episode, but it's just like, oh my God, I have to now say, what was the first time living? Was this your second time, and what was the first time
It was like
like?
the
And
third or fourth time.
oh my gosh, it's like maybe that's a discussion for another time. I hope we can get to it. But okay, this is the third or fourth time she says, "I have a bag full of cans. You're going to crush these cans and put them in the bag."
And then one time I said no. There's a can crusher in the trunk of the car. I'm gonna use that. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm not doing this shit. And
Let's
then she threw a fucking hissy fit.
Let's do a tiny bit of improv. And when I say improv, we had done improv, but here I want to get it as most accurate as possible. So it's not fantasy, it's the truth. I want the truth. And by the truth, I don't know what your grandma did, but I know you said no, but you play your grandma, I'll play you. So I guess I wake up in the morning.
I think I'd rather
I'm
kill myself.
Yeah, but you got to play because I want this to go
I would
down
rather kill myself than interact with that bitch again. I'm not even going to toy with the idea.
Okay, then don't. But okay, do you wake up in the morning and she just comes into the room, or
yeah,
what is that day?
I wake up fucking miserable because I know where I am.
You wake up. What's your room like at this point? Do you have your own room?
Well, it smells like old lady and cream. I sleep on a mattress on the floor. I have a desk and a TV. That's it.
You wake up. Your grandma comes in and says, "Ben, you have cans to crush."
And he's like, "Ben, you have to go put your mattress outside because it stinks." I'm like, "Whatever, bitch."
She said that?
Yeah, every day she would make me air out my mattress. Like, I didn't stink. I showered all the fucking time. Like,
what?
She was just being a bitch.
Why? I have to say that's an evil thing to say. That's
what do you expect?
The craziest
Old
thing
people
I've
are fucking
heard.
evil. That's why I don't trust them. They
That's
think because they're old and they can pretend to be sweet and innocent that they can get away with anything they fucking want. But you know what? Old people fucking suck. Old people can go fucking die for all I care.
She said
if you're
basis,
over like 80, I think you've had enough time living. Goodbye.
She said on a daily basis, "Ben, go air out your bed. It stinks."
Yeah, and I would have to go put it out in the carport.
Every day?
Yes.
This is like, what? Every day that you...
Yes, every day. What part of that do you not understand?
What I don't understand is that it's insane.
Yeah, it's insane and insulting and demeaning.
It is! It's insane, insulting. You know what, Cassie, I've talked to you...
She once asked me if I knew where the mailbox was, after I had lived there on and off for like 15 years. It's like, bitch, are you trying to make me hit you? Because you're gonna make me hit you.
What did your mom say about your grand? Because this is
my
your
mom.
Mom's
She was off in La La Land at the fucking time.
You know what? This is a private call, and I won't even. I mean, I'm sorry that this is not a private call because it's a. I started this call as a YouTube call, and I'm like, this is crazy. You've never told me this in person call, but we'll talk about that later. But I just wonder, like, it sounds like your grandma's crazy almost, and it sounds like she's...
No, she's not crazy. She's vindictive.
Yeah, it sounds like she's evil.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for years, but no one ever believed me.
You know what? I'll say this. When you made those videos about your grandma saying... I think there was... I remember...
She once drove my aunt to the hospital. Like, she didn't drive her there. She drove her to have a panic attack, and she had to go to the fucking hospital.
Why was she like this? I don't get it.
Because she was an evil bitch, that's why. Like, there's no other explanation than that. Like, some people are just fucking bad.
We've talked before about why a person becomes who they are and why their childhood might have made them who they are. And as I've said, I know your father's side of the family. I don't know your mother's at all. And I wonder, I remember, in fact, you've said that you hate your grandmother and blah, blah, blah. And then you said in a video, which I don't remember the title of, but you said, like, that you were really interested in forgiving people. And you said, you know what? I'm trying to forgive my grandmother, but it's really hard.
Yeah, I did say that.
And I wonder, do you forgive her now? And if you ever forgive her, do you forgive her because you say, you know what? And I say this knowing nothing, because I don't know anything about that side of your family. Did she Do you look at her and say, you know what? She had a effed up upbringing or what? And like,
I don't care how
why do you
fucked up her
say
life was. I was a child and she took it out on me. I don't give a fuck.
it's absolutely true? But you were a child and your dad took it out on you, did he not? And yet, you don't
Yeah,
give
but
an
the
F
thing
about
is, that
him.
was usually because it was my fault.
It's a topic for another time, but I'll say no, it wasn't. And you got at it when you said I was a child. That's the main thing. I mean, you were a child in all of these instances, and these adults are quote unquote
And she was
taking it
being.
out on
I
you.
was a child and she was being a vindictive bitch for reasons that weren't my fault.
Who was worse, your father or your grandmother? And I
They were
remember
both
that
terrible. One was mentally abusive, one was physically abusive. Like, they were both
I
fucking
remember one
terrible.
time you talked about a dream, and it might have been multiple dreams, but you said that your father or your grandmother came back, and you said, "Why are you alive? Why are
Yeah,
you
I would
back on
scream in
Earth?"
my dreams, "How are you here? You're supposed to be dead. You're supposed to be dead." And I don't know how I didn't scream in my sleep.
Does that happen anymore, or is that?
Sometimes.
When do you think was the last time? I mean, is it like a year ago?
I don't know, a couple of months.
This is what. This is the whole reason. This is the entire reason that I write the casket biography. And you know what? Every time I post a casket video, there are people in the comments, or I never post a casket video, but every time you do, there are people in the comments and they're just like, they look at you as such a, oh, ha ha ha, he's a laughing stock or whatever. And I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, how can anyone look at casket and say this is a laughing stock?
Well, I'm
Because,
a fat guy. It's pretty easy.
right, right. Fat people are
You gotta
laughed
remember,
at, and
fat people are the
maybe.
last people you're allowed to make fun of still.
Why don't you say something about that? Because you know what? That's really interesting that you say they're the last people. You're absolutely right in terms of you can still make fun of fat people, but when you say they're the last, I wonder, it's debatable, and as soon as something becomes debatable, I say that
Okay, but the thing
becomes a
is,
topic of
you can make a
conversation.
joke about anything, but you're gonna get flack for it. If I make fun of black people, I'm gonna get flack for it. If I make fun of trans people, I'm gonna get flack for it. There are comedians out there who make jokes about this shit, and they get flack for it.
And what about fat?
People don't give a shit about fat people. You can make fun of them all you want.
But what about now? You say an interesting, important thing of, oh, you try to say this about black people, you try to say this about trans people, people will disagree. But what I say is, try to say something racist against black people, you're done. And now, and by saying this, I mean it's not acceptable to say something racist about black people. And to a very different degree, there's a different level. There's a difference in degree here when I say try to say something about transgender people. You can. It's much more acceptable than to say something racist than it is to say something transphobic. They're on a totally different level. I mean, it's this complicated thing with history, but I mean, it ultimately has to do with who's listening to you and blah, blah, blah. But you're right. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into a whole different discussion, but I mean, just think of like Joe Rogan, who's the number one podcaster today. He wouldn't dare say something racist, for one, because he knows he's the number one podcaster and he could threaten all this stuff. He could threaten his income. But to say something about transgender people, that's a whole different thing. That's up in the air. That's, oh yeah, I'm going to say something mean about transgender. And that's only saying Oh,
Yeah, but I'm
transgender
not
people are
saying
the
I
most
want to say
vulnerable.
something mean about black people. I want to say something mean about trans people. I'm just talking
That's
about telling jokes.
And I wasn't even talking about telling jokes. I'm just talking about who it's acceptable to be against. And what I say is absolutely not. It's not acceptable to be against black people. Or, I mean, black people in America is the number one thing. And then other races have to be in common, but or other races have to be considered and blah, blah, blah. But absolutely, America has a whole history with black people and slavery and blah blah blah, and it's a story that we could get into. That would be an interesting podcast of Casca King talks about slavery and its consequences or whatever, but it's not what we're talking about. But what I meant to say by that is that people in America today do not accept racism against black people whatsoever. And by this, I mean, if you're white, go try to say the N-word or something against against a black person. Guess what you're going to get? You're going to get, probably, I assume you're going to get punched. And that's the long arm of law in its own way. But by this, all I mean to say in this whole speech is to say that try to say something anti-trans, and guess what? You're not going to get punched. You might get somebody who's going to agree with you. And transgender people today are much like black people in the 1960s, is that they're in this weird civil rights moment. And it's not exactly the 1960s, and there's no MLK, and there's no, whatever. There's no civil rights movements behind transgender people. They don't have the same thing. You can be anti-trans and just be totally acceptable today. And I hate to show my cards, but I mean, it's despicable to me. I say, why? Why can't a person be who they are? That's how I look at the world. I say, why can't a person be exactly who they are? And why are there these people who say, oh, no, you can't be who you are because blah, blah, blah. And
Well,
I don't
to be
know.
fair, it's mostly the Christians doing that.
You say that, but when you say Christians, what you actually mean is religious people, because don't Muslims feel the same way and are not being anti-Muslim or being anti-Christian? I'm saying, really, at the end of the day, aren't religious people at the end of the day. And what are Christians and Muslims? They are believers in the Abrahamic religion, blah, blah, blah. It's complicated, but yes, in America, Christians are the primary group. So if you're an American, you would say, absolutely, it's American. I mean, it's Christians, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you just can't say that because it's not like Christians are the only philosophy, and it's not like Christians are the only people who are in power in the world and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, in
Yeah,
America,
but they're the ones
Christians,
who are in power in this country, and that's where I
they're
live.
they're the ones who are the majority in America. So yeah, you would say, yeah, Christian theology, or we'll just say for this philosophy, says no, we can't accept trans people and blah blah blah, and they do. I mean, frankly, transgenderism is not the biggest thing that I worry about. I worry about, in terms of America being a Christian country, I worried about
I worry about having my
abortion.
rights taken away.
You worry about having your rights, but what are your rights? And I don't.
My
This is
rights to
such a weird
religious
direction.
freedom. They could totally take that away if they wanted to.
But I don't think they're going to take your rights to religious freedom away. What I think they're going to take away is what they've taken away already, is abortion. And it's not just, they
Yeah, but the
wouldn't
thing is,
dare.
according to the Satanic Temple, that's my religious right.
Okay, and I'm not a Satanist, and I won't argue that point. But what I'm saying here is that they wouldn't dare say Casket or Ben Music You can't have your own religious beliefs. What they go after is the individual principles, and that is, a fetus or a zygote or whatever in the womb is a person, and they have all the rights of a human being. And you
Yeah,
know
and
what,
then I think to
frankly,
myself, thank Morningstar that we have satanic abortion clinics across the country to fucking help people.
but as someone who is not a Satanist,
Yeah, but you don't have to be a Satanist to go there. You just have to be like,
yeah,
hey, I need help.
you're absolutely right. And what I say is, just in this, when I hear you say, "Oh, we have satanic abortion clinics," or whatever, I think this is exactly what they want to hear, because they don't. I understand what you mean, because I've talked to you and I just understand what you mean by that you're Luciferianism, that you believe in Luciferianism, you're Luciferian. But anybody else would say, any Christian hearing this would be like, someone's a professed Luciferian and they believe in abortion. Of course, this is absolutely true. This is what they would believe in, because they're monsters, because they believe in the devil. And it gets
And then I turn
complicated.
it around back on them. I say, you're a monster for taking away people's right to choose.
And they say, it's ridiculous because we're getting into this in this video, but I'm gonna take devil's advocate, and I don't agree with it, but I'm gonna just take devil's advocate, and I say to you right now, you're Luciferianism, or you're Luciferian, and you believe in killing babies. And I say this when I'm playing devil's advocate, and I say, you're Luciferian, you believe in killing babies, you want to kill babies when
They're
they're in
not
the womb.
babies. They're fetuses. They're not
Uh,
alive. They're fucking a blob.
I mean, frankly, we could get into that, but it's just like what you said is true. Is as far as I believe, and it comes down to belief or blah blah blah. But this is such a stupid video, and obviously, when we started the video, what was it about, King?
We were talking about chicken wings.
Particularly, what were we talking about chicken wings?
There was a guy who I saw at work once order 100 chicken wings.
Now, where were you working at this time?
I was working at the Big Top Flea Market.
Could you describe, and could you go into detail if you could, or could you be exhaustive, explicit, whatever, and just explain what was the Big Top Flea Market? Is gone. It's dead and gone today. But what was the Big Top Flea Market? How did you come to work at it?
Well, my dad died, and my mom was like, well, we gotta get jobs. And they were the only people to call me back, so
Where did you apply?
I applied at the flea market, filled it out at a table, handed it in. Got called like a week or two later.
Is it the only place?
Yeah, man, even after I got the job there, I never got any calls back from anywhere.
Yeah, but where else did you apply?
Literally everywhere. Every store you can think of, anywhere that was giving out applications. Online, we were doing them. Like, we were applying for everything.
McDonald's,
McDonald's, everything.
Burger King,
Yep, Burger King too.
Arby's.
Literally any restaurant you can think of, we applied at.
And you only heard back from the Big Top
Yes.
restaurant? You get the job. What is it like? What is it like when you hear? I mean, how do you hear that you get the job? What is that call
They
like?
called. They wanted an interview. I'm like, they're like, can you come in now? I'm like, yeah, sure.
What was the interview like?
Well, they asked me about my work experience. I didn't have any. They asked if I could start that day, and I said sure.
Like, they wanted you to be on the clock immediately?
Yes.
What was that first day after they said we want you to be on the clock immediately?
I said, lead me to where I need to be.
What was that first day like, though? What was, like,
I
literally, what
worked
were you
the
doing?
entire day. I don't know how I survived. Somehow I was able to stand. My legs were like dead. Like I almost couldn't walk out of the place.
What were you doing?
I was putting the food on the tray and making the drinks and handing it out.
So you were, like, at the counter?
Yeah,
What are you thinking about your grandma during this experience?
I'm thinking that fucking bitch is at home probably stealing my shit.
A discussion for a different time, but were you thinking she made me do this?
Not really.
Were you thinking I hate this, I don't want to be doing it?
Oh yeah, I fucking hated having a job.
What was worse, school or work?
Oh god, work.
Work was worse. Were you ever thinking, I wish I was in school right now?
Yeah, I like years later, I totally regretted not finishing school.
What do you think today? Do you think I should have stayed in school?
Yeah, I should have totally fucking stayed in school.
What do you say to young
But I was
casket
too busy
fans?
dealing with my shithead father and fucking bitch teachers who want to put air fresheners on my desk.
I can't even believe you'd bring that up because that's a story in and of itself that I think you've only told on Twitch, but that is a story. But, and hopefully we'll get there, but at this point, what do you think? Do you think, like, I hate my grandma that she's making me do this, or what's the feeling? Your first day of work? Do you is there, like, are you pointing at anyone? You're saying my grandma's a fucking, or my grandma's an effing
No,
asshole?
I didn't. I did my job today. I didn't really know anyone. Well, I knew like one person working there because I knew him from school.
In the store? In
Yeah,
the
yeah,
restaurant?
yeah.
What? What? At what point in school did you know him from?
I can't remember. I just know we used to ride the bus together.
Yeah, but you must have been at 20 schools. I mean, what school was this?
Probably my probably one school that I probably shouldn't name.
You shouldn't name, but, like, what grade?
Seventh, eighth.
Did you know this person? Like,
I like kind of knew them. We were friendly.
what was it like when you joined the Big Top restaurant and they're there?
I don't know, just whatever. You know,
Did you say, like,
I was
hey,
more concentrated on trying to survive my first day.
did you bring up the fact that, like, hey, I know you? Did
Oh
you
yeah, I
say,
came up
hey?
like, hey, I know you. Yeah.
How did that go? Explain that meeting.
I just it went fine. It's like, oh, I recognize you. I recognize you. Yeah. Small world.
Was it friendly, and how did the rest of your tenure there go? Were you friendly with them? Did
Yeah.
they stay there? Were they there the whole time?
I think they got fired right before I did.
Why? Why'd they get fired?
No, wait, that was somebody else. No, they were still there.
Why'd this other person get fired?
I think they were stealing food or something.
What? They were stealing, like, frozen food?
No, they were like I can't quite remember, but
You said they were stealing food.
yeah, I feel like that
What's
was the reason.
what's the memory? Were they stealing, like, what kind of food were they stealing?
I don't know. I think they were just like taking frozen food out of the freezer and like putting it in their truck or something.
What was it like when you heard that this was happening?
And I thought, wow, that guy's got fired. Oh well. People
Did you
came and
think
went all the time. It's like it was a temp job for teenagers, man. We worked in a little restaurant.
who asking right now, who came and went that you thought, I really wonder what they're at today.
There was this one chick who worked there. I had a little bit of a crush on her.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was she like? What was her experience like?
I mean, we kind of knew each other from school, sort of. Not really. We kind of knew each other from around the neighborhood.
Okay, you're at the Big Top Flea Market restaurant, which I guess doesn't have a name. Does it have a name?
No, I don't think it ever had a name.
It was just like a restaurant in the Big Top Flea Market and didn't have a
Basically.
name. You're at the Big Top Flea Market. One day, a person comes in with a large order, and I want you to tell this story.
About the 100 chicken wings or the largest order?
Yes. The 100 chicken wings. I assume this is the largest order.
No, we had an order that was way bigger.
Start with the 100 chicken wings,
Okay,
and then go to the largest
so
order.
this happened, I don't know, 6 months to a year before I got fired. There was this really big guy. He must have weighed at least 600 pounds, but he could still walk, which was crazy. And he ordered 100 chicken wings, which was a lot, because we only sold them in like 5s and 10s.
What was it for 10 chicken wings? How much money?
I don't know. I think it was like $6 for 5, and like maybe 12 for 10.
This is like $120 order.
Yeah, it was.
This is a crazy order.
Like, he ordered 100 chicken wings and I think 2 sodas.
Man.
And it took like 20 minutes to cook all the chicken wings. We got it to them. They were all fresh.
You say we got you. You make it short, but what's happening when he's waiting for the order? Are you
He's
just
just
sitting
standing at
because
the
you're
window with everybody else. There were like 3 orders in front of him, and he just waited for his order.
the guy at the window,
Yeah.
right? And you're at the window, but you're also washing the dishes.
No, we did that after work.
Only after work you wash the dishes, but during work you just sit at the window and you do the
I make drinks. I
orders.
put the food on the tray.
So you make his drinks and you give him like 100 chicken wings.
Yes.
What are you thinking when you're looking at him? Do you say like,
Well,
"Man,
at
this
first I'm
guy's really
thinking,
big"?
okay, he must have friends or something.
Yeah, but
Because
then
he ordered 2 Cokes. I'm like, okay, 100 chicken wings, 2 people. That's, I guess, not too crazy.
And then what's it like?
Well, he sat down at a table where I could see him, where I was working, and I sat and I didn't sat there. I was working. But every once in a while, I would glance up, and he was just eating by himself, and he ate all 100 chicken wings.
Do you ever think, because I've never heard of this person before tonight, but did you ever think like, this is effed up? Like, this
Not
is
really. I was
crazy.
too busy just trying to do my job and survive.
Yeah, but you know what? There's probably a million orders that you've filled that
Like, on my
weren't.
first day at work, they wanted me to do dishes, like, which is what most new people have to do on their first day, dishes. Because nobody wants to fucking do dishes. And I must have looked awful fucking pitiful and pathetic, because the guy I was doing dishes with is like, hey man, do you want to go on home? And I'm standing there barely able to stand, and I'm like, thank you man, you're fucking blessed, and thank you. And I fucking limp my way to the car, and I get in the car, my mom drives me home, and I have to crawl into the house because I literally cannot walk anymore. And it took me 3 days for my legs to just not be jello anymore, and I could walk again.
I remember this from the work video. I remember that well, as you explained in the work video, but you never explained this guy in the video. And here's what I really want to know. Do you look at this guy and what do you think when you say, here's a 600-pound guy who just ordered 100 chicken wings? I mean, are
I
you...
went, well, you don't see that every day, and I just went about my job.
He didn't think anything, but yet I don't want to be the guy, but I want to bring it up in some way and say, well, Casket, you're morbidly obese, and I think more than anything, obesity has been the defining factor of Casket's life. And I say, did you look at this guy and say that's, there's something horrific there? Obviously, you remembered him enough to tell me about him, and you knew, and blah, 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 but just as a fact...
Well, it's not every day you see a guy eat 100 chicken wings.
But it wasn't just a guy. It's not like some muscular guy ordered 100 chicken wings. It was like a 600-pound guy. Did you say, like, oh, when you looked at it, did you say that's a really fat guy?
No, I just say, sir, would you like your drink now, or would you like to wait?
But you say that to me now, but what I say to Casket is, you remembered it very well. Something about that moment stuck in your head. I bet there's a billion, not a billion, but I bet there's like 1,000 days that you went to work that you couldn't tell me one thing about. You worked at the same place for 2 years. What I say is, why did this thing stick in your head?
Well, the thing is, we were only open 2 days a week.
When you told me, when I brought it up, you said there was a bigger order than this. What was the bigger order?
All right, there was like 2 or 3 Phillies, like 2 or 3 orders of wings, like 4 hamburgers, like 6 French fries. I think they ordered some slices of pizza. There was an elephant ear. There was 4 or 5 hot dogs and like 10 drinks. And that took up about 3 or 4 trays.
What do you think when you hear this order?
I think, damn, that's a lot of people.
How many people was it?
I have no idea. It was some, like, 2 or 3 people came, got the trays, and they were sitting out at the other end of the market where I couldn't see them.
Were you thinking in your head, this is effed up?
Not really.
What? Yeah, you remember it to this day.
Well, yeah, because it was the biggest order we ever had.
It's the biggest order you ever had, but aren't you thinking, this is insane?
Well, yeah, it's like, wow, that's a lot of food. Let's fucking do this, I guess.
When you got a big order,
I didn't have time to, like, when I was working there, I didn't have time to think, oh, this person's fat. Oh, this person looks like a freak. All I had time was, like, okay, is Jim here? Jim? And then I would give Jim his food.
Why was Jim a regular?
Nah, I just pulled the name out of my ass.
And I mentioned his name in the beginning of the video, but the guy who was a regular that you mentioned in the video, what is his name?
Yeah, there was a guy who was a regular. He always ordered a grilled cheese and a Coke.
You had grilled cheese where you were at?
Yeah, we had grilled cheese.
What was your exact job? Okay, you filled...
My exact job was expediter.
You were expediter and you fill the soda or you fill the pop or whatever and you fill...
Eventually I became the Iceman.
Explain that. Explain your job.
Okay, so I still worked the trays, but I had a second job. I had a walkie-talkie on me. We had these little kiosks with 3 kiosks that served like ice cream and just a couple of things like hot dogs. Nothing crazy because they couldn't cook. And when they ran out of ice, they would call me on the radio and say, "Iceman, can you come to section C?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I go and I get the ice and I bring it to them.
The Iceman cometh, but okay, yes.
I used to be able to lob around 2 or 3 bags of ice at a time.
Are these? How many pounds do you think these ice bags
I don't
weigh?
know. It's your average bag of ice. Pretty heavy.
And then what happens? They say, "Iceman, bring us the ice."
Like, Iceman, can you bring us some chips? Iceman, can you bring us a box of soda? Iceman, we're out of this. Iceman, I need a bathroom break.
So you bring the ice, and that's part of your job.
Yeah.
So your job is, I'm at the window, I'm the Iceman, and I'm also the person who washes the dishes.
Well, I didn't always wash the dishes. They always switched the jobs around after work. Like, you wouldn't always be doing the same job. Sometimes I'd be washing dishes. Sometimes I'd be wiping down counters. Sometimes I would be stacking the counters. Sometimes I would be washing trays.
How long would you have to stay after the restaurant closed?
It depends. Anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour.
Every day is your mom waiting there to drive you home?
Yes.
Does she have to? Does she have to wait like a long time?
No, because she always knew about what time I got off.
Yeah, but you say, "Oh, it depends on what time I get off. Maybe it's half an hour, maybe it's an hour." I mean, does that ever become a problem?
No, because I usually got out about 4:30. Anyway.
When did you start?
Well, the thing is, my shift started at 11, but I would always get there at like 9 o'clock
Why?
because I would walk the flea market and I would get to know people and I would hang out at booths.
When you work the flea market, who do you meet?
I had met a lot of people.
Yeah, but tell me.
I mean, there was Freddie, there was the fortune teller guy, there was the genealogy guy, there was the guy who sold anime stuff, the lady who sold puppies, there was the exotic bird guy, and there was like a t-shirt guy. There was
Were you an
somebody who ran a
extrovert?
bakery.
Were you an extrovert?
No.
Yeah, but how would you meet all these people if you were not an extrovert?
I don't know, flea market was like second home.
I would like this video to go on forever. This must be a freaking hour-long video at this point. And what I have to say is, the point of this video was somebody came in with 100 and asked for 100 chicken wings. And I want you to describe this as exhaustive as you possibly can. I mean, tell the whole story. Tell what you're doing. Tell what it's like when it comes here. Tell who's working
Okay,
there.
the
Tell the
guy
whole
shows
story.
up. I was kind of standing by the register waiting for an order, and this guy comes up. He's like 600 pounds.
Is he the fattest guy you've ever seen?
No.
When have you seen a fatter guy before
I
this
once saw a
moment?
guy that must have weighed 800 pounds in the back of a pickup truck.
When?
Fuck. It was like within the last 7 years.
Within the last 7 years of today?
Yeah.
First off, I would say when. Like, when?
I
And
don't
what
know.
was
It
it
was just. It
like?
was like within the last 7 years. We were in the drive-through somewhere. I can't remember where. It might have been Burger King or McDonald's. And there was just this like 800-pound guy in the back of this black pickup truck.
What made you remember him?
Because I'm like, he's massive. There's no way he can walk. How the fuck did he get in there?
Were you sad?
No, I was more amazed than anything.
You weren't. Not even a part of you said
No.
that I'm sad. You said no. Were you? Did it feel like you were at an amusement park or something? If saying, "Oh my
No.
God, there's someone that big."
No, it just felt
Was
like I
this
was in the line at the drive-thru waiting.
was this like a My 600 Pound Life guy?
Oh, at least.
Do you think he's alive today?
Who fucking knows, man? I doubt it.
Okay, so this guy comes to your store. You've never seen him before. He's like 600 pounds. And he orders a huge meal.
Yeah, he orders 100 chicken wings. I take the ticket from the cashier. I hang it up for the cook. I put the ticket on the tray. And then we had a line of
What?
people forming, so I kept taking orders and putting them on the trays. And I was making drinks, and his chicken wings were cooking, and he was at the window waiting.
Do you remember his drinks?
2 Cokes.
He orders two, not Diet Cokes.
No.
He orders 2 plain Cokes. Doesn't part of your heart say I cry for him?
Not really, no.
Do you think he's alive today?
I have no clue.
Yeah, but if I said, here, I'm going to give you $100 cash, you have to gamble it. Is he alive or is he dead? What do you say?
I don't know, he weighed 600 pounds and he can walk on his own without any aid, so maybe.
He could walk on his own. That's true. Did he give any lip? Was he
No, he just waited for his chicken wings.
100 chicken wings? Were you like, holy shit?
Yeah, it was like the biggest order of chicken wings I'd ever seen.
What happens? You hand him the chicken wings?
Yeah, I give him his drinks, I hand him his tray.
I mean, how big is this tray? What is 100 chicken wings on a tray? Was it multiple trays?
No, it was just one tray, but they barely fit on there.
What is... Okay. You give him his tray, and then what happens?
He goes over to the table. It's probably a couple of feet away.
And
He just fucking goes to town.
what is it like? Describe him eating 100 chicken wings.
I don't know. Well, I didn't watch him eat every single one, but every once in a while I'd glance over and there were just less chicken wings.
Were you like, this is crazy, 100 chicken wings? In your head, did you say, 100 chicken wings, this is insane?
Not really. I was too busy trying to survive work.
Was it, if you remember, was it like early in your shift or late
Like, I
in your
didn't have,
shift?
like, when I was at work, I didn't have time to just sit there and think. It was like, okay, action, 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 action.
But this guy was huge. He was way bigger than a typical guy, and you remember him to this day. So I say, you know
Yeah, I
what,
remember to
Cass?
this day, but at the time, I didn't have time to really think about it. I was too busy trying to keep up with work. Because once his order came in, we got a line of people. So there were like 4 orders I had to do after his. So 4 people got their meals before his.
Who was the worst customer you ever had?
Oh, snowbirds are the worst. They come in, they act like they own the place. They think they're more important than everybody else. Oh, you're just a Florida hick, blah, blah, blah.
If I have to say, Cassie, you have to name us. You have to say, this is the absolute worst customer I ever had. Who was it?
Probably the guy who threw a drink in the girl's face.
What? Tell
Yeah,
the
like
story.
some guy got really pissed off at the cashier, threw his drink in her face.
So you gave him the drink that he
No,
threw in
she
her
gave
face?
him the drink, Because that's all he ordered was a drink, so they just went ahead and made it for him.
Did you make the drink?
No, I didn't make the drink.
What were you thinking when he throws the drink in the face?
I thought that's fucking terrible. I'm like, I need to go get a towel.
Why? What pissed him off that he
I
threw a
don't know.
drink?
I have no idea, but security was called. He had to leave the premises.
What do you think about Big Top Flea Market today?
I mean, it's gone. Long
It's
gone.
gone, but what do you think about what it was?
I
If I
mean, it was a
say
great
casket?
place.
Yeah, if I say casket, what was Big Top Flea Market like? What would you say?
It was a big metal building that branched off into like 12 different directions, and you could find just about anything there.
Is there an alternative today, or is it gone?
Now the alternative also went out of business.
What was the alternative called?
Oh, the Funland, the drive-in movie theater slash flea market.
What about today? There's nothing.
Nope.
What do you think? Do you say the world I live in is gone today?
I mean, it's definitely. Well, I wouldn't say it's gone. It's changing.
Yeah, but they're both gone. I mean, I said, what's the alternative? You said, yeah, it's gone. And it's like, what's the alternative today if I said, oh, Casket, I'm in the area. I want to go to a flea market. Where should
I'd
I go?
say there. I know this like weird half mall, half flea market kind of place.
Do you want to say it, or do you say, you know what? It's too personal, it's too close. But even if not, I say, is it the same thing? I mean,
No,
is it like
it's
the Big
definitely
Top?
not the same thing.
Right. The same thing is gone. It's dead. What you knew is gone. Is it not, King?
I mean, it's true.
But should we feel sad? Should we say, you know what? I was born 10, 20 years later than Casket. I will never get to experience the Big Top. Should we say it's effed up? It's, you know, I
I mean,
should,
it's
but
whatever. Shit's changing all the time. When I was a kid, shit was changing. It's always changing. It's the one thing that never changes. Everything's changing.
it's an incredible thing to say. And you know what? You know, where to end. And there's no place to end. And I think anybody who's heard this will say, I want to know more about this or this or this. And if you feel that way, message Casket and ask him, because I was in the same position. I heard a video called Work one time that Casket posted, and it made me say, I want to know more about this existence. And out of that, I messaged Casket. And now I'm a major figure, I would say, in Casket's life. I don't know what Casket would say, but certainly I'm somebody. Casket knows my name, and it's the exact same thing. I was nobody. I mean, Casket, did you not used to hate me or fear me?
I feared you. I had nightmares where it's like I'm gonna wake up and this motherfucker's gonna be like over me and I'm gonna be like hooked up to a dialysis machine.
And dialysis is the key word, because when I first met Casket, I was writing all these fan fictions about dialysis that are. I wish I had them now. I was even thinking about that earlier. I was like, oh my god, I wish I had those stories, but I don't have them. They're gone. And yes, it's absolutely true. I used to write these. I used to talk to Casket a lot, or be in his comments and say blah blah blah, dialysis, blah blah blah. But the fact of the matter is, everyone who, I mean, if anyone listens to this video this long, this must be an hour and a half at this point.
Nah, it's an hour and 5 minutes.
An hour and 5 minutes. If anyone listens to a Casket video that's an hour and 5 minutes, I say there's a love somewhere deep inside for Casket King. And ultimately, I say, reach out. Casket King will respond. I'm a testament to that. He would love to hear people who say, yeah, I'm a Casket King fan. I was somebody. I look at this call and I say, yeah, Casket had this job when he was like 20 years old or whatever. And look at this. I'm somebody who grew up entire. How old are you today? 33, 34?
34.
I was nothing when Casket was working this job. I was like 10 years old. But guess what? Today, I say, Casket, you are something special. You shouldn't be forgotten and blah, blah, blah. But I said to everyone, 10 years ago, he had an interesting life. And you know what? The best thing that could ever happen off of this call is that Casket gets more fans. That's what I hope. And it's now 11 o'clock for me. It's 11 o'clock for Casket. And I'll say this. For Casket, it's goodbye. Is it not, Casket?
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye for Casket. And for me, I have to say it's goodbye. Again, goodbye, everybody. It's been a great video. And for both of us, me and Casket, I have to say, just as I'll say with Casket, it's goodbye from me. And what do you say, Casket?
I say goodbye, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.
Goodbye.